Senior women, this one's serious. Hidden bathroom habits could be making you smell worse without you even knowing. Most people miss it, but a few simple changes can completely transform how fresh you feel every day. Stay till the end, because the last habit is the one almost every woman over 60 gets wrong. Let's begin with Eleanor, a wonderful woman who, at 65, truly thought she had settled comfortably into her skin. She had, after all, raised a beautiful family, navigated heartbreak with impressive resilience, and weathered more winters than she could possibly count. With each passing year, she felt herself grow a little stronger, a little wiser, radiating quiet confidence. Yet, one warm afternoon, while gently helping her young granddaughter tie her shoes, the little girl looked up with innocent eyes and, without meaning any harm, asked, "Grandma, why do you smell like the attic?" Eleanor, being the graceful soul she was, laughed it off at first. But later that night, alone in the quiet privacy of her bathroom, she subtly sniffed her shirt, then her arm, then even her beloved towel. For the first time, a question settled heavy in her heart. Is this what getting older smells like? You see, it's a delicate subject, one nobody truly talks about. We freely discuss wrinkles, memory quirks, or aching joints, but the quiet, undeniable shift in how our body smells, that feels too intimate, too embarrassing, too unspoken, yet it's profoundly real. As we gracefully age, our skin naturally becomes a little thinner, a bit more fragile, which can make it easier for certain bacteria to linger. Our hormone levels, particularly after menopause, begin to drop, subtly changing how our sweat glands behave and how our body processes its natural oils. Even our body's natural skin exfoliation process slows down, meaning dead skin cells don't shed as quickly, silently building up, especially in those quiet, forgotten places we often overlook. What matters most, however, is to truly grasp this. This isn't about being dirty, it's about being wonderfully, naturally different. Your body isn't broken, it's gracefully evolving. And that beautiful evolution doesn't require shame, it simply needs a little gentle understanding. You don't need fancy perfumes, expensive creams, or the urge to scrub harder or hide away. You simply need to know which seemingly innocent habits are quietly working against you, and crucially, how to gently shift them. In just a moment, we'll explore 8 common bathroom habits that may be aging your scent without you even realizing it. And we'll walk through simple, science-backed ways to feel fresher, lighter, and more profoundly comfortable in your body once more. So, if you've ever caught yourself wondering why you feel just a little bit off, or if someone you love has made an innocent comment that lingered in your mind, please know this: you are absolutely not alone, and you do not, for a second, have to accept discomfort as a natural part of aging. Stay with me. This gentle journey might start with a simple scent, but it's truly about reclaiming how wonderful you feel in your very own skin. One often overlooked aspect of personal freshness involves a habit many believe to be deeply cleansing: the vigorous use of soap in intimate areas. Take Ruth, for example, a woman who always prided herself on being immaculately clean, a value her mother had deeply instilled. So, in her 60s, as her body began to change, her skin becoming drier and her scent subtly shifting, she reacted precisely as she thought right. She scrubbed harder, especially down there. Lavender-scented body wash in the morning, powder in the afternoon, even feminine wipes in her purse, all to ensure she was beyond reproach. Yet, despite these diligent routines, Ruth started to notice something troubling: a faint irritation, a strange dryness, and paradoxically, a persistent odor she couldn't explain. She initially blamed age, thinking, maybe this is just what happens now. But deep down, it bothered her enough to confide in her doctor. What she learned that day gently transformed her understanding. "Ruth," her doctor explained, "your body is actively trying to protect you, but the very products you're using are stripping away what it needs to thrive. The skin in our intimate areas, you see, is incredibly delicate, and our bodies are marvelously designed to care for themselves. The vagina, in particular, possesses its own natural cleansing system, a finely tuned internal rhythm that maintains a healthy balance of bacteria and pH. It truly doesn't need our vigorous intervention, it needs our respect. When we overwash with strong soaps and perfumes, even those marketed as gentle or for women, we disrupt this crucial natural balance, removing the very bacteria that keep us healthy. This inadvertently creates space for irritation, infections, and yes, that unwanted odor. Ruth was genuinely stunned. For years she had thought she was being extra careful, yet she had been unknowingly working against her body's innate wisdom. Now, Ruth's routine is beautifully simpler. Warm water, a gentle, fragrance-free cleanser used only when genuinely needed, and never anything harsh or applied internally, just pure, respectful care. And for the first time in years, she feels profoundly fresh, not because she masked something, but because she learned to trust her body's natural wisdom again. Sometimes doing less is truly the most loving and effective thing we can do for ourselves. Another common, well-intentioned habit that can subtly contribute to unwanted odors involves our bath towels. Helen, a woman who prided herself on being sensible and avoiding waste, believed it was perfectly reasonable to reuse her bath towel for a week, explaining, "I only use it when I'm clean. How dirty can a towel really get?" However, over time, she began to notice a subtle mustiness on her skin, even after a hot shower, and patches of dryness and irritation on her arms. Attributing it to aging skin, she dismissed it until her daughter innocently mentioned the bathroom smelled a little damp. That night, Helen cautiously sniffed her towel, recognizing a stale odor she had grown accustomed to. Her discovery was enlightening. Bath towels, especially in humid bathrooms, can trap moisture for hours, becoming ideal breeding grounds for bacteria, mildew, and even mold. Every time she dried herself with that reused towel, she was effectively transferring those microbes back onto her freshly cleaned skin, quietly undoing her efforts. Now, Helen has a gentle new approach. She rotates 3 towels, washing each after just 2 or 3 uses, and carefully hangs them wide open on a rack, never crumpled. She even leaves the bathroom fan on longer. The result? Her skin feels better, the air smells fresher, and that subtle unease she once carried has simply vanished. "I never realized something so small could make such a big difference," she says now. And isn't that true of so much in life? Then there's the often neglected area of foot care. Dorothy always took immense pride in her polished appearance. Softly curled hair, a perfectly pressed blouse, a delicate hint of rosewater behind her ears. Yet, her feet were an afterthought. "They're not on display," she'd joke, convinced no one paid them any mind. This worked until it didn't. It began subtly. A sour smell in her shoes even on inactive days, followed by dry, flaky skin, and finally, a quiet, persistent itch between her toes that disrupted her sleep. Dorothy initially assumed it was just dryness, trying lotions, new socks, and different shoes, but nothing helped. In fact, it worsened. It wasn't until a visit to her podiatrist that the truth was gently revealed. "You're doing everything right," he kindly said, "except for one crucial thing. You're ignoring your feet. As we age, our skin changes. It doesn't shed dead cells as easily. Our feet, enclosed in socks and shoes all day, become prime locations for trapped sweat, bacteria, and odor. Those dead skin cells accumulate, particularly in warm, moist areas like between the toes, creating a perfect environment for fungus, irritation, and truly unpleasant smells." Dorothy was deeply surprised. She had been so diligent with everything else. Why hadn't anyone spoken about her feet needing this unique care? That day, she made a quiet promise to herself to stop treating her feet as an afterthought. Now, every shower includes a mindful minute dedicated to her feet, gently scrubbing them with a soft cloth and mild soap, meticulously washing between each toe. Once a week, she uses a pumice stone to gently buff away buildup on her heels. And crucially, she dries them thoroughly, always, without shortcuts. On warmer days, or when wearing closed shoes, she sprinkles a light antifungal foot powder to ensure they stay dry and fresh. The beautiful result? No more itch, no more odor, and best of all, a renewed sense of confidence. "I didn't just clean my feet," Dorothy laughs now. "I listened to them. And sometimes, that's precisely all our body wants." Now, let's turn our attention to an unseen culprit, quietly affecting the cleanliness of our bathrooms. Marge had always maintained an impeccable home. Her bathroom sparkled, mirrors gleamed, and fresh hand towels were changed every other day. So, when a neighbor mentioned something called a toilet plume, Marge laughed it off, imagining a cartoon toilet puffing smoke. Yet, curiosity, as it often does, won her over. That night, she looked it up, and what she discovered truly made her skin crawl. Every time you flush a toilet with the lid open, tiny invisible droplets, teeming with bacteria and microscopic particles from the bowl, are launched into the air like a miniature geyser. These insidious droplets can silently travel up to 6 feet, floating discreetly before landing on surfaces throughout the bathroom. Your sink, your freshly laundered towels, your hairbrush, and even, shockingly, your toothbrush. Marge suddenly pictured all the times she had flushed while brushing her teeth, or with clean towels hanging nearby, imagining those invisible particles settling onto her freshly washed face or her pristine soap dish. The thought truly made her stomach turn. The irony was stark. Her bathroom looked and smelled clean, yet she might have been unknowingly spreading germs. From that day forward, she implemented one simple change. She closed the lid every single time before flushing. It became second nature, just like turning off the lights or washing her hands. And she noticed something else too. The faint, lingering odor she sometimes detected after guests left was simply gone. The difference wasn't dramatic, but it was profoundly real. Her bathroom smelled fresher, felt safer. And when her granddaughter visited, Marge smiled as she taught her a new, simple rule of the house. Close the lid before you flush, always. Because sometimes staying healthy doesn't require fancy tools or harsh chemicals, just a little quiet knowledge and a mindful shift in habit. It's the cleanest bathroom I've ever had, Marge says now with a knowing wink. And I barely had to lift a finger more than before. Consider next a habit tied to our evening comfort. Evelyn deeply cherished her evening routine. A calming cup of chamomile tea, her favorite robe softened by years of loving use, and a few precious minutes of reading before peacefully drifting into sleep. It was simple, deeply familiar, and profoundly comfortable. So, when her doctor gently suggested she change her underwear before bed, Evelyn blinked in genuine surprise. "But I haven't been doing anything all day," she protested. "No walks, no yard work, I've just been quietly home." She wasn't sweaty, hadn't worked up a storm, her underwear still felt perfectly clean. Yet, what Evelyn didn't realize, what so many women simply don't consider, is that even the quietest, most relaxed days leave behind more than we think. Throughout the day, our bodies naturally release subtle amounts of sweat, oil, and shed skin cells. Add to that a bit of natural moisture, and you've unwittingly created a warm, enclosed space where bacteria can quietly thrive. And if you wear the same underwear to bed, that mix remains pressed against your skin for hours, especially in older age when skin naturally becomes a little thinner and more sensitive. This constant contact can lead to irritation, those subtle unpleasant odors, and even increase the risk of infections like yeast or bacterial imbalances. Evelyn had genuinely never considered it. She thought simply changing into pajamas was sufficient, but now she saw things through a clearer lens. That night, she pulled out a fresh pair of breathable cotton underwear, soft, simple, and dry. And for the first time in a very long while, she felt noticeably fresher as she crawled into bed. After just a few nights, she even experimented with sleeping without underwear altogether, opting for just her loose nightgown. To her delight and surprise, she woke up feeling even more comfortable, less sweaty, and with no lingering odor whatsoever. "It's funny," she confided in a friend. "The less I wore, the better I felt." Now, Evelyn thoughtfully keeps a small stack of bedtime-only undergarments, always clean, light, and breathable. It's a tiny change, but it made a world of difference because taking beautiful care of yourself doesn't always mean adding more to your routine. Sometimes it simply means lovingly letting your body breathe. And when you do, sleep often comes easier and morning feels like a truly fresh start, both for your skin and for your very spirit. Moving on to another hidden source of unpleasantness in an otherwise pristine bathroom. Joanne firmly believed her bathroom was utterly spotless. Her counters were always wiped down, the mirror streak-free, the floor entirely dust-free. A small potted plant sat charmingly by the window, a lavender diffuser near the sink, everything perfectly in its place, everything wonderfully under control. But every now and then, she'd catch a faint whiff of something unpleasant, faint and lingering. Almost a subtle sourness. She meticulously checked the sink, the drains, even the bath mat. Still, the elusive smell returned. It wasn't strong enough to cause embarrassment when guests visited, but it was just enough to bother her, enough to make her quietly wonder, where is that coming from? The surprising answer lay in something she had never once truly considered. Her bathroom trash bin, sitting innocently and quietly next to the toilet. Her small lidded bin looked perfectly innocent. It wasn't overflowing, it wasn't visibly dirty. But that's precisely where the problem was cleverly hiding. Used tissues, damp cotton pads, sanitary products, even when carefully wrapped, they all release tiny amounts of moisture and organic matter into the enclosed air within that bin. And when the lid remains closed, warmth, humidity, and darkness create the perfect combination for bacteria and mold to grow slowly, silently, and invisibly until that subtle odor begins to subtly spread. Joanne had diligently spent years cleaning every visible surface of her bathroom, except for the one crucial item that was quietly undoing all her hard work. Now she has a simple, effective new habit. She empties the bin every couple of days, whether it looks full or not. Once a week, she gives it a thorough wipe down using a gentle vinegar-based spray or a simple simple mix of baking soda and warm water. Sometimes she even drops in a cotton ball with a few drops of essential oil at the bottom, just for good measure. It takes less than 5 minutes, but the difference is truly noticeable. The air feels lighter, the space smells fresher, and that faint, frustrating, lingering smell is now entirely gone. I thought the bin was too small to matter, Joanne says with a happy smile. Turns out it was loud in its own quiet way. And sometimes the most overlooked corners are indeed the ones that need our thoughtful attention the most. Our next revelation focuses on an item of comfort that can surprisingly undermine our sense of cleanliness: the beloved bathrobe. Linda absolutely adored her bathrobe, soft, warm, and worn to just the right degree of comfort. It was her constant, reassuring companion after every single shower. She had owned it for years, and it truly felt like an old friend, familiar and loyal. Because of this, she never gave much thought to how often she washed it. "I only wear it when I'm clean," she'd tell herself with conviction. "I mean, I just stepped out of the shower. It can't possibly be dirty." But over time, she noticed something peculiar. Even after a wonderfully fresh shower, there were mornings when she felt not quite clean. A faint, musty scent seemed to cling to her skin, her neck, her arms. It didn't smell like soap, and more importantly, it didn't smell like her. Then, one day, while mindfully folding laundry, she caught a distinct whiff of her robe, and her heart sank a little. It was subtle but utterly unmistakable. That soft, cozy bathrobe she loved so much, the one that offered so much comfort, it smelled distinctly like the back of a damp, closed closet. What Linda hadn't realized is that even our impeccably clean bodies leave behind moisture, natural oils, and tiny skin cells. And when you wrap a damp robe around yourself right after a shower, that moisture lovingly sinks into the fabric. If it's then hung in a poorly ventilated space or left crumpled on a hook, that dampness quickly becomes a hidden breeding ground for bacteria, mildew, and unwanted odor. The very item meant to make her feel profoundly fresh was quietly, insidiously stealing that feeling away. So, Linda made a small, thoughtful change that made an enormous difference. She bought a second robe, just as soft, just as cozy, and now she gracefully rotates them weekly, washing each one every 7 days without fail. She now hangs them carefully on a wide rack near a window, allowing them to air out completely. And on wonderfully sunny days, she even lets them dry outdoors, just like her wise grandmother used to do. The beautiful result? Her skin feels genuinely cleaner, her mornings smell delightfully fresher, and her cherished robe now hugs her the way it always used to. Not just soft, but truly, deeply clean. "I used to think clean was just about feeling warm and wrapped up," Linda muses now. "But now, I know it's also about letting go of what your skin no longer needs. Because true comfort isn't just about how something physically feels, it's about how it makes you feel, deep within yourself." Finally, let's explore a shaving habit that can, surprisingly, be counterproductive to freshness. Barbara had always firmly believed that shaving her underarms meant she was doing everything exactly right. After all, no hair meant fewer smells, didn't it? For most of her adult life, she maintained this simple habit: a quick shave in the shower, a swipe of deodorant, and out the door. Straightforward, clean, done. But lately, something didn't feel quite right. Even on days when she meticulously shaved and wore fresh clothes, she began to notice a lingering odor, subtle but stubbornly persistent. She experimented by switching deodorant brands, trying clinical strength formulas, and even, quite diligently, skipping onions at lunch, but absolutely nothing changed. Frustrated, Barbara finally brought up this perplexing issue during a routine appointment. Her doctor listened patiently, smiled gently, and then said, "You're doing the first step beautifully, but you're subtly missing the second." What Barbara didn't know is that shaving doesn't merely remove hair, it also gently scrapes away dead skin, any lingering leftover deodorant residue, and the natural bacteria that reside on the surface of our underarms. It's almost like stirring up sediment at the bottom of a peaceful pond, and unless you meticulously rinse all that loosened debris away, it can sit right there in freshly opened pores, creating an unwelcome buildup. So, while shaving undoubtedly helps, it also temporarily disrupts the skin, paradoxically making it even more sensitive to this buildup and, consequently, to odor. The solution, she learned, wasn't fancy, it was simply mindful. Now, after every shave, Barbara takes an extra moment. She gently rinses her underarms thoroughly with warm water. Then she uses a soft, clean washcloth to carefully wipe the entire area. No harsh scrubbing, just a light, thoughtful cleanse. After that, she gently pats the area dry with a clean towel and consciously allows her skin to breathe for a moment before applying anything else. During that brief pause, she might brush her hair or moisturize her face, just enough time to let her underarm skin settle and find its natural balance. The difference, she found, was immediate. No more mystery odor, no more subtle discomfort, just that clean, deeply confident feeling that beautifully lasts all day. I always thought shaving was enough, Barbara reflects thoughtfully. But now I realize truly finishing the job makes all the difference. Sometimes it's not about doing more, it's simply about finishing what you've already started with profound and gentle care. If you found even one small reminder in this video that made you feel truly seen or beautifully supported, would you be kind enough to let me know by commenting the number 1 below? It's a gentle, affirming way to say, I'm here and I'm lovingly taking care of myself too. Your presence and your connection mean more than you know, and together we are creating a wonderful space where aging feels a little kinder, a little softer, and a lot more empowered. When you genuinely think about it, none of these habits seem like a big deal at first. A cherished towel used a few more times than perhaps ideal. A comfortable robe that still feels incredibly soft, even if it hasn't been washed as recently as it could be. Sleeping in the same underwear because it still feels perfectly clean. Leaving the toilet lid casually up. Skipping that extra, crucial rinse after a quick shave. They're such small things, aren't they? Quiet, routine, the kinds of choices we make without thinking twice because quite simply, no one ever explicitly told us otherwise. But here's the deeply important truth. As we beautifully age, these small things become the very foundation of how we feel in our bodies and spirits. They shape our daily comfort, they whisper to our inner confidence, and they either affirm us or quietly nag at us when we stand in front of the mirror or walk into a bustling room. And often, when something just doesn't feel quite right, when we feel just a little off, we quickly, perhaps unfairly, blame age. We think, maybe this is just what happens now, this is simply a part of getting older. But dear friend, aging is absolutely not the end of freshness or dignity or beauty. It's simply a magnificent new chapter that gently calls for a bit more thoughtful care, a deeper, kinder awareness, and boundless self-compassion towards ourselves. Every single habit we've lovingly explored today is remarkably easy to adjust. None of them cost much, if anything at all. They don't require special tools, fancy new products, or demanding perfect routines. Just a little mindful shift, a little thoughtful attention, a little extra love for yourself. And what you gain in return is truly something you cannot put a price on. You feel profoundly better in your body. You breathe a little easier in your own exquisite skin. You walk a little taller with a renewed grace and poise. Because when your body feels genuinely cared for, your spirit joyfully follows. And that, my dear friend, is precisely where real, authentic confidence begins to bloom. So here's to the beautiful power of the little things, when they are done with wisdom, gentle intention, and profound heart. You have absolutely earned it. If you found even one tip in today's video that made you pause, smile, or feel just a little more understood and supported, would you let me know by commenting the number 1 below? It's a simple yet powerful way to say, yes, this spoke to me, and it helps me know I'm walking beside the right, beautiful people. And if you have a dear friend, a beloved sister, or a cherished neighbor who could genuinely use a quiet, gentle boost of confidence and comfort, please consider sharing this video with her. Sometimes the smallest changes can truly make someone's entire day feel different, brighter, and more confident. If you'd like to keep learning simple, empowering ways to care for your body, gently and gracefully embrace every stage of aging, I warmly invite you to subscribe to the channel. We are dedicated to sharing simple, trustworthy tips made just for remarkable women like you, because feeling fresh, strong, and confident isn't something you leave behind with age. It's something you beautifully grow into, day by graceful day. Thank you for spending this valuable time with me. Please remember, you're not alone, and you're doing absolutely beautifully.